Love, in its purest form, is often portrayed as unconditional, endless, and unshakable. But in reality, human attraction doesn't work that way. In the early stages, most relationships burn with passion, curiosity, and intensity because there's an element of uncertainty. She's drawn to you because you're still a mystery. She doesn't know if she fully has you yet, and that tension keeps her invested. Over time, many men make the mistake of believing that once they win her, the love will simply sustain itself on comfort and kindness. But comfort without challenge slowly drains attraction. Women are not wired to love a man who becomes predictable, overly available, or endlessly agreeable. While kindness and loyalty are essential, they are not enough on their own to maintain her desire. She needs to feel a certain pull towards you, a reminder that you are not a man who will bend at every request or surrender your standards, just to keep her happy. That pull comes from resistance, the quiet, confident strength to hold your ground even when it would be easier to give in. The myth of unconditional love tells men they can show up however they want and still be loved the same. But the truth is, her feelings are deeply tied to how you make her feel about herself and about you. If you stop inspiring her, stop leading, stop keeping her on her toes, the emotional current that drew her to you begins to fade. This is why a man must be willing to break her expectations from time to time, to disrupt the easy path of comfort that leads to emotional flatlining. Not by being cruel, but by reminding her through your strength, independence, and standards that you are a man worth fighting for, not one she can take for granted. Asterisk whether she admits it or not. A woman will constantly measure the man she's with against her unspoken standard of strength. This isn't always about physical dominance, it's about emotional stability, it's mental discipline, and the ability to remain centered no matter what she throws at you. Women are naturally drawn to leaders, protectors, and men who can hold their own under pressure. When she tests you, it's rarely conscious. It's an instinctive way of asking, can you handle me? Can you handle life? She needs to feel that you are unshakable, because if you can't stand firm with her, she won't trust you to stand firm against the world. These tests can take many forms. Sometimes they are subtle. She challenges your opinion, pushes your boundaries, or flirts with emotional unpredictability. Other times they are more direct. She withdraws her attention, criticizes you, or tries to provoke a reaction. Many men see this as a sign of disrespect and respond with either aggression or submission. Both responses fail the test. Aggression shows insecurity, and submission shows weakness. The response that builds attraction is calm, grounded confidence. You acknowledge her challenge without being rattled by it. When a man doesn't understand this dynamic, he takes her behavior personally. He assumes she's trying to hurt him or undermine the relationship. But in reality, these moments are often her way of seeking reassurance, not through words, but through the energy you project. If you meet her resistance with steady strength, she feels safe. That safety turns into respect, and that respect feeds her love. The more you pass these unspoken challenges, the deeper her trust and attraction grow. She doesn't want a man she can control. She wants a man she can lean on, and that only happens when you refuse to be moved. Asterisk. Breaking her isn't about crushing her spirit or taking away her confidence. It's about disrupting the unhealthy patterns, entitlement, and emotional games that will quietly erode the relationship if left unchecked. Every woman, like every man, carries habits and defenses shaped by past experiences. Some of these are harmless quirks. Others are behaviors that, if never challenged, will chip away at respect and intimacy over time. When you break her, in this context, you're not breaking who she is. You're breaking the cycle that keeps her from showing up fully in love. This means refusing to reward manipulative tactics, guilt trips, or unnecessary drama. It means not allowing her moods or emotional storms to dictate your actions or pull you off center. You do this not by arguing endlessly or trying to win every fight, but by setting clear boundaries and holding them no matter how she reacts. If she realizes her usual patterns no longer work on you, she will either adjust to meet you at a healthier place or reveal that she's unwilling to grow. Either outcome tells you the truth. True leadership in a relationship comes from knowing when to stand firm and when to be soft. Some moments call for compassion and understanding, so others call for decisive action. Breaking her patterns often means being the first person in her life to say no without guilt and enough without apology. It may shock her at first, even frustrate her, but deep down, most women respect the man who doesn't let them get away with behaviors that sabotage love. That kind of man is rare. And when you're rare, you force her to rise to a higher standard, not because you demanded it, but because you showed her she could. Controlled disruption is the art of keeping her emotionally engaged without creating chaos or toxicity. It's the balance between stability and unpredictability that makes a relationship feel alive instead of routine. Too much stability with no challenge turns into boredom, and too much unpredictability with no stability turns into instability. The sweet spot is when she knows you are a rock she can rely on, but also a man she can't completely predict. That tension keeps her drawn to you. Controlled disruption can be as simple as changing the rhythm of your attention. If you're always available, always texting back instantly, always agreeing with her plans, she starts to subconsciously take you for granted. But if you pull back at times, immerse yourself in your own world, and stay focused on your goals, she feels that your life is bigger than her, and that makes her want to be part of it even more. The point isn't to play childish games. It's to show through your actions that you have your own center of gravity, sometimes controlled. Disruption means challenging her ideas, not to belittle her, but to make her think differently. It can mean taking the lead in a new direction when she expects things to go her way. It can even mean walking away from an argument instead of feeding into it, letting silence say more than words ever could. These moments keep her from falling into autopilot mode in the relationship. The key is that your disruption has purpose. You're not provoking her for ego or power. You're keeping the emotional connection sharp and alive by refusing to let the relationship slip into dull predictability. A woman who never feels this healthy tension will eventually drift. A woman who does will stay locked in. The most powerful form of breaking her is being willing to walk away completely. Not as a threat, not as a performance, but as a genuine choice when her actions, attitude, or effort no longer meet your standards. Most men fail here because they talk about boundaries but never enforce them. They stay out of fear of being alone, fear of losing her, fear of starting over. But when a man stays in a situation that disrespects him, he silently teaches her that she can cross any line without consequence. Respect dies in that silence. Walking away isn't about punishing her. It's about honoring yourself. It's the ultimate test of self-control and self-worth because it proves that you value your dignity more than her approval. If she truly cares, your absence will hit harder than any argument ever could. It forces her to see life without your presence, your leadership, and your energy. For some women, this becomes the wake-up call that changes everything. For others, it simply reveals that they were never truly invested in the first place. Either way, you get clarity. The willingness to leave is also what makes your presence valuable. She knows you are with her because you choose to be, not because you need to be. That knowledge creates a different kind of attraction. Respect rooted in the understanding that you're not a man who will tolerate a one-sided relationship. If you can combine emotional strength with this kind of decisiveness, you become a rare force in her life. You're not chasing, you're not clinging, and you're not begging for love. You're offering it freely, but only to someone who meets you with the same respect and effort. And if she can't, you'll walk without. Looking back,